So the second driver is your type 2 driver, which is also called as API partly Java driver. And whenever we writing the Java application and we make some JDBC calls, so we have this native API driver or type 2 driver, which will convert these JDBC calls into a database specific native library calls. So when I say native library calls, so native libraries are nothing but these are the instructions or the code which is developed by using a non-Java language, like it can be using C or C++, but it is not written in Java. So this type 2 driver is going to convert the JDBC calls that we have made in the Java application into a native library calls. And those native library calls are understood by the specific database. So if we have an Oracle database, it has its own native library through which it is able to understand the JDBC calls, which are converted by this type 2 driver. So it is just same as your type 1 driver, except that we do not have the ODBC driver in between. Okay, so it is just converting the JDBC calls into the native library calls, which are directly understood by the database. Now coming to the advantages and disadvantages. So the advantage is with respect to your type 1 driver, the performance is higher because it requires only one level of conversion, because we do not have any ODBC drivers which will convert the JDBC calls into ODBC calls. So we do not require any ODBC driver specifically. Okay. So when we compare this type 1 driver, the portability is more, because we have seen in type 1 the ODBC drivers are only available in Windows operating system. But because we do not have ODBC driver in your type 2, so the portability is more. I mean, you can work in Linux or Mac OS or any other operating system, because earlier the ODBC driver was only working under the Windows machine. Okay, so these are few advantages when compared with your type 1 driver. Now coming to the disadvantages, so it is a database dependent driver. Why? Because the native libraries are very specifically there for a particular database. So whenever the JDBC calls are converted into a native library calls, so that is specific to a particular database. So if the native libraries are for a particular database like Oracle, so they will be working only in Oracle. If you have changed the database to MySQL or any other, so accordingly the entire thing you have to change. So it is a completely database dependent driver because it has database specific native libraries. Hence, if you want to migrate from one database to another, it becomes difficult. So it is platform dependent driver, because on which platform you are going to work. Okay, because it's not purely written in Java, because it is taking the the native libraries into a consideration. So it is a platform dependent. You cannot have the platform independence with respect to the type 2, because it is not completely written in Java, right? Now, there is no guarantee that every database vendor is going to provide these drivers. Okay, so these native libraries or these drivers, Oracle is providing that, but MySQL is not providing that. Okay, so because particular databases are not supporting in providing this, we have to download from some internet sources and then we can use it. So it is out of the 4 drivers that we have. Okay, so this is one such driver which is both platform dependent as well as your database dependent. Okay, hence it is not recommended to use when compared to the other type of drivers.